Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at play-up props here, Nate, on a Saturday, as we got a couple games here on the Saturday weekend slate that we are looking at. We also have a best bets video up, so make sure to like and subscribe to that page and check out the best bets we have for you for Saturday as well. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of the great written content that we're putting up on the site right now and use that odds finder tool, a nice little table there showing you all the odds available to you from these books, giving us bets in the NBA postseason. Looking real quick at how we did on Thursday night, as we are recording this on Friday, so we don't yet know how Friday's picks did in the couple games that we have there, but we did pretty well on May the 4th there in that Lakers and Dubs game. Jared Vanderbilt coming through. I'm going to continue to hit Clay unders. I'm sorry, even though he just made me look so silly. Draymond assists. Hell yeah, love that. And then LeBron didn't get the 3-pointers under because he hit his first 3 of 4 or whatever. Don't expect that to continue, but that's fine. It was just a little bet on nearly 2-1 for him to get over, under 2. But he still didn't get the points and assists, even though he had like 19. And I will be going back to that well here in just a minute. But let's kick it off with your first NBA play-up prop, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, remember how we saw Jimmy Butler just smiling and nodding at the end of game 2 because he knew that his supporting cast gained more confidence, nearly beat your Knicks without him, and now he's coming back on Saturday. And one of the biggest reasons for that confidence was Gabe Vincent, who continues to ball out in the absence of Tyler Hero as the starting shooting guard. With pretty good usage. His last 4 in the playoffs, 24% usage, 18 points, 6 assists. So if you're telling me 18 combined points and assists is the prop, that's where I'm going. You could also just do 14 points, which both seem great to me. His last 3 in particular, he's up to 38 minutes per game, scoring 21 a game. So that obviously includes 2 in the series. His last 2 regular season against the Knicks, 20 points per game, 3 assists in just 28 minutes. He had unsustainably awesome shooting, 70% from the field and from deep against the Knicks. But that to me shows me that he's not afraid of the matchup. He's not afraid of the lights at MSG. As we saw in game 2, he was just balling down the stretch. So yeah, without Tyler Hero, they need some offense from the backcourt, right? And Kyle Lowry isn't that dude anymore. I don't know if he ever really was like a total shot creator on his own, but Gabe Vincent can get it off the bounce. I mean, he's obviously much younger and spry. And so without Hero this season, he's stepping into that role. He's averaging 16 points per game versus 8. His usage rate goes up to 20%. He plays 9 more minutes and he gets 1.5 more assists. He gets nearly 4 assists per game. So again, averaging about 20 in a 12-game sample. And you're giving me 18 here points and assists. In a situation where Jimmy Butler might have a little lower usage and it might be a little bit more of the ball in Vincent's hands facilitating as Miami looks to defend home court.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero are out, I actually do eye Kyle Lowry assists. In 4 games this season without Hero and Jimmy, Kyle Lowry had assist counts of 15, 9, 6, and 3. With a bunch of potential assists in there. So I do think there's something to when Butler is out with Hero also out. Kyle's a little bit more of the distributor and Gabe Vincent's a little bit more of the shooter. He still had a good amount of assists last game, did Vincent. Got way over his points and assist prop in that game without Jimmy. But I'm still fine. I think Vincent's assists are not necessarily tarnished because Butler comes in nearly as much as Kyle Lowry, because Lowry's not even going to play as much with Butler out there. But Vincent has been established as the starting point guard, getting close to 35 minutes in a night, at least 32 to 33. So yeah, I'm going to continue to back him. I backed him in game 2 as I was talking to some people there on our Discord, and I'll continue to do that here in game 3 with you. I'm feeling good about that one as well. So as I foreshadowed, I'm going to the LeBron James under here, and I'm going to add the assist to the points. Like, he scared all you people who took his under on the points last night for like 2.5, 3 quarters, and then it just came right back down to this game didn't matter anymore, and LeBron and AD didn't play the 4th. Who do we have out there? I think we had a Tristan Thompson sighting in the 3rd quarter or 4th quarter, start of the 4th. So that was helpful there, but not necessarily predicting that again. I'm just taking his under 32.5 points and assists. We can get that at -110 on BetMGM and pretty close to that on DraftKings as well. Like, if he didn't do it after scoring 19 in 2 quarters. Like, when's he going to do it at this point? He hasn't done it yet in the playoffs, getting over 32 points and assists. He hasn't gotten more than 31 points and assists in a game so far in these playoffs. I think this shit's juiced, as I'm saying here, because we just watched him dominate for 2 quarters where he was like the LeBron on the Cavs who scored 25 straight points against the Detroit Pistons in the playoffs. That's what he looked like when he was making fadeaway, mid-ranges on top of, threes with a hand in his face, because nobody can block a shot from a dude that's all the way back here, like where LeBron's pulling it from. We just saw him go 3 for 8, but he missed his last 4 after making his first 3 of 4. And really, I think it was another one of those things where AD wasn't going to bring it. And we all kind of, we should have foreshadowed that a little bit better. We should have predicted that a bit better. We talked about it during the game. Like, just it's an every other day thing with him when he's on one day of rest. Like, he just can't do it after playing 44 minutes 2 nights, one night ago. And that was another reason for LeBron to bring it a bit more. He's only averaging 4 free throw attempts a game in the playoffs while shooting 15% from 3. It's just not a recipe for getting more than 25 points. That's insane. And the assist there, like, I juiced the assists a bit, for worse odds, because I was like, maybe he can get 6 in a game, because he's done it once in the playoffs. But so I juiced it up to 7, under 7 assists for him. Easily got that, where he only got the 3 because he's still looking to score. I just don't think there's anything close to like a double-digit assist game in LeBron's future at this point, especially with the shooting that he has around him. Like, there's nobody to sink those buckets when he's passing them the ball necessarily. So I just, there's no world in which I'm going to continue. I would ever take an over on a LeBron prop at this point in the playoffs, at least for his points and assists specifically. The rebounds, he's still capable of getting 20 apparently at times, but the points and assists are just not in the cards for him to that degree. That number needs to drop quickly, or I think the books keep losing money on the unders if people take it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, and the Dubs are playing good defense on the road in these playoffs, unlike what we saw in the regular season, limiting assists to chopping it up to a degree. Andrew Wiggins playing good individual D on LeBron, who got 0 free throw attempts in that last game. It's like, when would he do it? Well, if the game was close for 4 quarters, he would have gotten over in this last game. He did come out aggressive, looking for a shot, wound up only playing 28 minutes. It looked like he kind of tried to get ejected so that he could officially get fewer minutes. But I don't think his outside shooting is going to sustain. By the way, that third 3 was just a complete luck box. Like,
the bank,
as his shot clock expired, that he just had to put up no matter what. So I don't think he's scoring a ton here, and it's correlated to Anthony Davis scoring more, which we've seen every time in these playoffs. It's every other game from AD. Like Josh said, he played 44 in game 1. He only played 30 in game 2, and just kind of loafed about, not much energy. He does tend to have a lot more energy at home in his playoff career, 27.5 points per game versus 25. With the Lakers, 26 points per game versus 23. His usage rate goes up.
Let me interrupt you. You're going AD over 23.5 points?
Yes, thank you. I got to start with that. It's 23.5, or you can get better odds if you go for 25 points. No problem with that. So that's what he averages at home with the Lakers in these playoffs. His usage rate is 29% versus 25% on the road. And in these playoffs in particular, it's just been a crazy pattern. Like, since game 2 against Memphis, 13 points, 31 points, 12 points, 31 points, 16 points, 30 points. And we're coming off an 11-point game. So what happens next in the sequence? He also had 30 points on just a 23% usage rate against the Dubs. And they're going to have to feed him a lot more. They're going to have to try to make the Dubs pay for this small lineup, right?
Yeah.
And Draymond did a good job getting in his jersey, bothering him. AD does have some success. It's again, kind of an alternating line where he either blows up for like 38 against Draymond or he's held to like 12. And this season at home, the last 3 meetings, he had 33 in the home opener. Then he only had 12 because it was a blowout win for the Lakers. And then he had 39 because LeBron was out. But in those 2 blow-ups, like 25 and 26 field goal attempts. So, like, if he's coming out aggressive and trying to score the ball, there shouldn't be anybody who can stop him. If Looney's out there, that's clearly a mismatch from a quickness perspective. And AD should be more aggressive getting on the boards, getting second chance. The Dubs that's the one area they haven't been any better on the road in these playoffs, right, is limiting second chance and offensive rebounds. So AD should be able to eat at home here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, it is hilarious to look at his sequence of scoring. Like this is an elementary school math problem. Like 13, 31, 12, 31, 16, 30. What comes next? 11. What comes you like it's crazy to watch that, to expect it.
Every time.
And it's got to be at least like eventually we got to start talking about causation, not correlation anymore, and be like, yo, like he's doing this a little bit on purpose at times where like he knows even if he's not doing it on purpose because he's trying to conserve energy, he just doesn't have it. He doesn't have like his body probably hurts. He's still playing through injury. And so I think there's a little bit of like, I'm just going to take tonight off a little bit, y'all. And maybe one of you guys can carry us. LeBron did his best and just didn't get enough help. So I'm good on taking 80 points after a bad game before. And I think also to your point, like the effort and effort as a result of how he's feeling physically. Like you saw it right away in game two. It was like, oh, you're not going to go for the offensive boards, and you're not going to be able to make a 6-foot floater because your legs are so tired. So that was pretty quick to see. And then, as opposed to the other games where he just jumps out and scores a bunch in the first quarter and sets the tone. And I would expect him to do that a lot more at home. And that for that to be combated by Curry threes and Thompson threes and all that. And that's why this series is so freaking awesome, is because you've got two opposing forces coming together, trying to beat each other. So finishing things off here with our player props, Nate. I'm going to Julius Randle. I tried to be, sort of like a defiant child when you were like, what about Julius Randle over 7.5 rebounds? And I was like, don't tell me what to take. And then I looked at it and I was like, shit, that's awesome. So I'm going with it and acquiescing to your solid call here. I do love the idea of taking over 8 boards for minus 120, but I also love the idea of getting 2-1 on your money, better than that for the double for him on DraftKings for Orange Julius. And it was you wrote down like one stat, and I was like, shit, that's great. Randle had 8+ rebounds in his first 7 playoff games. Then he's dropped down a bunch, right? Because he got injured. He was down to about 6 boards in 2 games when he was injured, including when he got benched versus Cleveland because he was benched, and then he was also hurt in a game. So like he was missing some time. But when he came back in game 2 here against the Heat, he came back with 25 points, 12 boards, 8 assists. I loved the assists, dudes. That's like kind of why we won, by the way. Honestly, it was like once they started coming to him, he waited, they doubled, and he passed, and it was great. And I hope he does it again. And I think it would help him also with the boards, because when he's sitting on the outside of the 3-point line, and that's how our offense is run, we just lost 6'10" worth of rebounding, on the offensive glass. I know Mitchell Robinson's there, but he out rebounded Mitchell Robinson in game 2 because he came with that ferocity on both sides of the floor. Like on defense, this team is amazing at rebounding. They're the best defensive rebounding team in the league. They're shutting down the Miami Heat offense once they get a shot up. They have a 76% offensive rebounding percentage. Like you said here, they're number 1 in terms of overall rebounding in the clutch as well, because they definitely gobble it up, and mostly because they haven't been afraid to play Mitchell Robinson in the 4th as well, which is very interesting. I've had multiple friends text me saying like, why doesn't Eric Spoelstra just like put Udonis Haslem out there to get fouls and just put Mitchell Robinson at the line? He's worse than Shaq. And like, I kind of agree, but he's still out there, which is why they're dominating the rebounding at the end. And Julius is obviously going to be out there in the 4th, helping do that as well, which he did in this last game as well. So versus the Heat, he just has solid numbers rebounding as well. I mean, there's not that many good rebounders on this team, even with Kevin Love. I mean, big men rebounders, because their guards are incredible at rebounding, by the way. Shout out Caleb Martin. Don't want to disrespect him at all. But down low, they have the advantage in height and in size. And I think Randle to get 8 boards is minus 120 because that's pretty likely. And then if you want to sprinkle a bit on maybe like a quarter unit on the double for Randle, another really good bet in my opinion.
Yeah, you just brought up Caleb Martin, which makes me think like that goes right with the Gabe Vincent pick. If anybody's interested in his props, I haven't seen them up yet, but those two guys, just like the building off Jimmy Butler confidence, incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Julius Randle, 8 rebounds is the floor, as you saw there. If he's not going to get injured or benched, or this is going to be a blowout, 12 boards in game 2. I mean, yeah, the double seems likely. The Heat do not have a good matchup for him. He actually averaged more boards on the road this season than at home. And even at home, 9.7 rebounds per game. So that's why you're getting the minus 120. But in a game where we don't know how the Heat offense is going to function, if there's going to be major regression, it is a Saturday afternoon in Miami. That does seem like kind of a sleepy
Ooh, yeah.
low scoring game potentially, which makes Josh
Love a
cringe about
nappy.
his over teaser. But
Yeah.
in any case, should be a lot of rebounding attempts. There were 39 defensive rebounds for the Knicks last game. Might be even more this time.
I think there will be. I think the pace is still going to stay at what Jimmy and Jimmy and the boys, as we call them, at what Jimmy and the boys want. I think they want it to be fast no matter what. And there's got to be something to the Knicks not wanting to have to wait for that Heat defense to get set up, also, and being able to play against it in transition. So I think there will be a bit more rebounds if there's a bit more pace. But you do have me second guessing which way I'm teasing that game as we talk about the Knicks and Heat on a Saturday afternoon. That's got 92-87 written all the fuck over it. So we'll talk about that a little bit further. If you're watching that best bets video, figure out how you want to tease it. If you do, maybe you want to tease it to the under a bit more than you do the over. Either way, that's all the time we have in our play a props video for you. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page and continue to check out what we're bringing you the rest of these playoffs. Until we see you next. Happy betting.